Welcome to the third edition of the High Performance Imports video series. This time we're going to show you Japan's biggest aftermarket car show, the Tokyo Auto Salon. This is just one of three massive halls at the show, all filled with extreme modified cars. This year is the 20th anniversary of the show, so to celebrate, a fourth hall was used to display the most significant custom-built cars of the last 20 years. Some of the choices were a bit of a surprise. Anyone who bought the PlayStation game Gran Turismo 2 should recognise this car. The Tomica DR30 Skyline was one of the most successful GT cars of the early 80s. The 2-litre engine makes 570 horsepower with plenty of good old-fashioned turbo lag. The 240ZG has classic deep dish Watanabe magnesium alloys with a stroked triple Weber fed L-series engine. This later model carries the extremely rare LY crossflow engine, which was developed strictly for racing and makes 300 horsepower naturally aspirated. Rarer still is this OS Geekin engine using their own 24-valve twin-cam head on a 3-litre L-series bottom end. Any Z owner's wet dream. In the main hall, Nissan's own stand had the nostalgia flowing, with the original 1970 KPGC10 Skyline GTR parked alongside the latest R34 Type M. In its day, this GTR was a technological marvel, using a twin-cam 2-litre straight 6. It stopped the domination of Porsche in Japanese GT racing, so it remains a hero car to this day. It's not too hard to spot styling cues that have carried through the generations, like the flared rear guards, quad headlights and the general proportions of the coupe shape, not to mention the twin-cam straight 6 engine. Top Secret always have been a big stand with wild project cars and very nice campaign girls. This Supra showcases a number of new trends, like coil-over shocks with height adjustment at the top of the shock. The GTR engine conversion is a top secret trademark, as is the titanium intercooler plumbing. The carbon Kevlar underspoiler at the rear is a new top secret product, while the new wheels are the latest release from Ray's Engineering. The big carbon rear wing is also a top secret specialty, along with these neat race style mirrors. The top secret R34 was a major drawer on this stand, but you can see this car in our first video. In another part of the hall, Top Secret has two Hondas on display, both built for one-make racing. The S2000 is a stunner, with the Top Secret gold paint and new front spoiler. It also has the Top Secret wing and underspoiler. Inside it has race seats, harnesses and a detachable wheel, but it still can be driven on the street, so long as you enjoy a lot of attention. The new Integra Type R also has its own race series. Engine tuning is limited, but Top Secret have fitted a titanium air feed and another one of those carbon fibre rear wings. Like the S2000, it has a relatively comfortable interior and Ray's Engineering forged wheels. The Signal R34 has one very proud new feature. It has run an 8-second pass on street tyres. Despite a year of racing, the paint is still immaculate, but now that the time has been achieved, the car will not be used for drag racing anymore. Judging by the new wheel and tyre package, circuit racing is next on the agenda. The HKS 3240 twin turbos have also been swapped for a big single turbo, namely the Truss T88 34D. Signal's wide-body S15 has also been given a new look, with vibrant orange paint and chrome graphics. This car has been built strictly for circuit racing, so this might not be the last time it needs a paint job. The SR20 engine uses a Truss T78 turbo and makes 670 horsepower. This is really pushing the limits in a rear-wheel drive car. A Truss GTR intercooler is also fitted, with a Truss Type R blow-off valve and large volume plenum. The strut brace is titanium, just to save another kilo or so. The oil cooler is neatly mounted on one side of the bar with a shroud to control airflow. The brakes are straight off an R34 GTR with dual fuel pumps and a surge tank in the boot. It also uses the popular quick-release steering wheel hub. The Signal Integra was much like the top secret car, but with Signal's own special body parts and signature graphics. The Jun Akira Supra was one of the most popular exhibits. Built solely for top speed, it uses a specially designed nose cone with a 1200 horsepower engine using all Jun engine components. The 3.2 litre 2JZ has not one but two Truss T78 turbos. Just one of these is good for 700 horsepower. The inlet is custom made with an 85mm throttle. A complex header tank system is also used to control coolant flow at high RPM. The car was actually displayed on a brake pad stand, which makes sense if you think about it. In a car that does over 400 km per hour, stopping is a major concern. The feature car for Rapex was no surprise. Their twin-turbo Integra drag car is one of the fastest front-wheel drives in the world, now running in the mid-8s. It would take hours to explain all the technical features of the car, as everything is custom-made. The engine is angled forward to keep the weight balance to the front. Each turbo runs off 2 cylinders with a shared wastegate system. The air intake is just in front of the windscreen, while the titanium exhaust dump just behind the huge Goodyear slicks. The radiator is laid flat under the water-to-air intercooler. The chassis is entirely custom built, so it's really not an Integra, it just looks like one. The driver sits closer to the centre of the car, which is a handy safety feature as the car hit the wall during early testing. HKS chose to display a pair of Evo 7 Lancers this year instead of their Supra and Skyline drag cars. This white car was the weapon of the pair, using a GT 3240 turbo and an unusual intercooler setup. It is one of very few cars to lap the Tsukuba circuit in under 57 seconds on street legal tyres. The black car was a little less extreme, using mainly bolt-on parts from the HKS catalogue. It also showed off the HKS Earth-Wire system, which is said to help ignition system power.
答えがここにあります。
Blitz made the unusual choice of an R34 Skyline sedan as their main demo car. Equipped with a K5 660R turbo, the RB25 DET Neo engine now produces 470 horsepower. Putting all of that through the rear wheels makes it an interesting driving experience. The new Sora convertible, called a Lexus SC430 in foreign markets, has already come in for some serious engine work. Not one, but two Blitz superchargers with a neat carbon fibre shroud to really impress your golf buddies. As for Valeside, well, who else would you expect to put a body kit on a Ferrari? Their Evo 6 Lancer still looks good, and they've gone to work on the new Integra too. Trust had an army of 12 demo cars outside their stand, some built by outside workshops. This glitter paint R33 GTR has been around for a while, but it has recently been updated with a new high flow version of the T88 34D Turbo. Another glitter job was applied to this JZX100 Chaser. Essentially a street car, it showcases the Truss T67 Turbo, among other Truss components. The massive T88H34D is still the centrepiece of the towering Truss turbo range. Changing the front end of a car is very popular in Japan. Here, an R34 GTR style nose has been adapted to a Nissan Stagea wagon, which is already available with GTR running gear. How about a Ferrari 360 nose for your S15 Silvia? Or a Porsche nose for your RX-7? There are also taillights to make any model look like a Lexus IS200. Duluck cut up a perfectly good S13 Silvia to show off their new power assist bar, which is not a roll cage, but simply an elaborate chassis bracing system. The Miracle crossbar for the RX-7 also takes chassis bracing to new extremes. Of course, for sheer cool factor, you can't go past a titanium strut brace, or a titanium exhaust system for that matter. These usually weigh a quarter of the standard system's weight. Lightweight is also the focus for the latest forged rims, like these P1 wheels from Ray's Engineering, or these T6 wheels from AVS, a branch of Yokohama. Kreutzer is another brand from Yokohama, using an unusual polished inner section. In-car DVD systems are already popular in Japan, with screens of various sizes. It may take a little longer before everyone has a slot machine in their car. Splitfire used this neat Z car to showcase their #1 product, which is another Earthwise system like the HKS example. These are really popular now in Japan, partly because they're so easy to fit. In case the real cars are too far out of reach, Tommy had the world's smallest remote control car on sale. Naturally, we bought the Skyline version. On a slick surface, you can even do some micro drift, but drifting is always a risky sport. In some countries, vans or wagons are seen as practical, family-oriented vehicles, but not in Japan. Just look at this Honda Odyssey. They see a bigger car as a bigger opportunity to add spoilers and skirts that defy any kind of logic. Most vans are not fast, but this turbocharged beast is a notable exception. With about the widest flares we've ever seen on a road car. Imagine shopping in this thing. VIP is another category of modified cars that's unique to Japan. Basically, you take an expensive luxury car, drop it to the ground and fit the biggest rims possible. The new Sora was an instant hit with the VIP boys, so all of the VIP wheel manufacturers had one to show off their 20-inch rims. On a Sora, they seem like exactly the right size. So what do VIP owners look like? Well, they all want to look like this guy, who was even more popular than the campaign girls. "23-inch rims and tyres are now readily available in Japan, and companies like AME have plenty to choose from. VIP cars are supposed to exude class, so naturally the campaign girls need to be dressed to match. No complaints here. Perhaps the ultimate in VIP style is this stretched Nissan President. If you saw our last two videos, you'll be familiar with the concept of drifting. Drift cars have their own unique style too, though this particular Silvia, built by option, is really on the fringe. The CA18 engine is supercharged with a NOS bottle in the back, crazy sprint car seats, and Motec engine management. The leopard paint is certainly distinctive. The ultimate in drift style is this 180SX, which was last year's national champion. The SR20 has a Blitz K5 660R turbo, with the intercooler mounted in the engine bay to save it from drift damage. The 18 by 10 inch rims need custom flared guards, especially with such low suspension. The sequential shift adapter is another popular drift product. The wide guards on this S13 Silvia make room for incredible deep dish wheels. They're probably 12 inches wide, but the tyres are meant for much smaller rims, so the sidewalls are really stretched out. This helps sharpen the response of the tyres and lets the rim sit outside the guard lip. Note the shock absorber between the engine and the suspension tower. Of course, there's more to the Auto Salon than just cars. To keep the spectators amused, there are professional para groups performing throughout the show. There was a bikini contest too, put on by the option crew. Sure enough, things got out of hand when Nomiken from Urus turned up. To compete with this, some exhibitors had their own shows going in the main halls. The halls are impressive, but you haven't seen the Auto Salon properly until you check out the car park. Here you see the cars that the real fanatics drive. What drives people to turn Toyota Hiaces into Batmobiles is beyond us. Judging by the long wings and bumpers, we think they might be compensating for something. The less extreme versions actually look quite cool, but how can you drive a car this low? As if to answer our question, they all drove out together.